We have Tom Brady retirement part 2 Electric Boogaloo. We'll see if it sticks this time. He did a short and succinct video to his social media platforms, just basically saying, hey guys, I'm retiring. You only get one chance of the flowery goodbye, and he did that last year. So he's just had the short video this year, kept it short and sweet, something I probably need to learn from him, and said goodbye. So let's just kind of go over the career that was of one Tom Brady, and just how I don't think there's ever going to be a player like him again. And it's because, well, let's just get into it. So he had a 23-year career. He only missed one season due to injury, and that one injury changed the NFL forever. It changed how referees are instructed to protect quarterbacks, and it changed how NFL defensive coordinators had to rush the quarterback. No longer could you just fling guys at the feet of I remember this. One of the strategies before that injury to Tom Brady's knee was to have your guys, if you can't get to the quarterback, muddy his feet. Get down. Roll into his feet. Make it so he can't step into his throws. Make it so he's off rhythm by doing that. I remember that. That was an actual strategy that teams used, especially against the prolific passers like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, going back in time to Dan Marino, Terry Bradshaw. You know, it was an actual thing that quarterbacks had to deal with. And ever since that injury, it's now outlawed, and you can no longer roll around at the feet of a quarterback. You can't even hit them low anymore. You can't even really hit them anymore. Let's just say that. So he changed the NFL in more ways than one, but that way specifically. So that was, I believe, the 2007 season that he lost due to injury. And it was kind of the same injury that happened to Carson Palmer in the playoffs, if you'll remember that. I referenced that one a lot because that kind of ruined Carson Palmer's career. The Bengals were an up-and-coming team, and because of that injury to him in the playoffs, they kind of just unraveled his career. So, yes, that was a needed rule change. It just took the superstar to get hurt in the same fashion. So, he only lost 1 year to injury. He never missed significant time due to injury after that. And so 23-year career, 22 years played. 7 Super Bowl wins. That's a record, right? 7 Super Bowl wins, 6 with the Patriots, and 1 in Tampa Bay. He was a 3-time NFL MVP. He is the NFL's career passing yards leader at 89,124. The NFL's career passing touchdowns leader with 649. The NFL's career regular season wins leader at 251. He has the most Super Bowl appearances at 10. The next closest is John Elway at 5. He doubled up, a Hall of Famer. Super Bowl MVPs, he's won 5. So the same number of Super Bowls that John Elway appeared in, Tom Brady has that many in MVP awards. The next closest was his idol, Joe Montana, at 3. Tom Brady is the only quarterback to start and win in a Super Bowl for both conferences, the AFC and the NFC. He's won the most playoff games at 48. That's incorrect. He has appeared in the most playoff games at 48. He has the most playoff wins at 35. He has the most playoff passing yards at 13,400. And he has the most playoff touchdowns, both rushing and passing, at 88. He has the most completions in a season at 490 and the most attempts in a season at 733. And get this, those 2 numbers I just gave you happened this past season. That wasn't when he went undefeated with Randy Moss and all of those guys. No, that was this past season in Tampa Bay. Wow. I mean, he was at the top of his game even to his age 90 season. He was on 2 different NFL all-decade teams, the aughts and the tens. He has the most fourth-quarter comebacks in the regular season at 46. He has led the most regular season game-winning drives at 58. And lastly, the one stat, I guess you can say, that really blows my mind, and I had to double and triple check this stat to make sure it was correct. Tom Brady does not have a losing record against a single franchise. He is undefeated against 3. So he's undefeated against Tampa Bay, New England, and Minnesota. But the funny one here is he has a 500 record against San Francisco, Denver, and Cleveland. Yeah, he's 500 against Cleveland. Wow. That's like a Trivial Pursuit stat. You know, that's like a deep cut stat. Like, Tom Brady undefeated again, or not undefeated, but does not have a losing record against any team in the NFL. Which team does he have a 500 record against? And then you would have those 3 options, Cleveland, Denver, San Francisco, to be able to get the pie piece. Like, Cleveland? Wow. That's incredible. Also, in case you're wondering, it's my favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles, which will be swapping probably to the 49ers here very soon, as I detailed last week. He's 7-2 against the Eagles. One loss came in the Super Bowl, though, so there you go. Woohoo, fly, Eagles, fly. So that is the storied career of Tom Brady. 23 years, 22 of them healthy. That's never going to happen again. The NFL, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in professional sports, let alone the NFL, where the average career length is something like 3 seasons. 7 Super Bowl wins? Tom Brady has more Super Bowl wins than pretty much every franchise. The Cowboys have 7, and the Patriots have 6. So he has more Super Bowl wins than every franchise. I mean, the current passing yards, it will probably get touched just because of the way the NFL is nowadays. You know, Patrick Mahomes will probably get there. Josh Allen might get there. If they stay healthy, that is. And those regular season wins, there's too much parity, and I don't know if Patrick Mahomes will be able to keep it up, to get up there. Just because when Andy Reid retires, who knows what's going to happen in Kansas City. Super Bowl appearances, 10? Are you kidding me? And he started in each one? That's never getting touched. 5 different Super Bowl MVPs? That's not getting touched, especially when Joe Montana only has 3. And in my opinion, I don't really like greatest of all time. I think I'm going to do an episode when we get into summer and all I have to talk about is baseball, and I know you all aren't exactly the biggest baseball fans out there. I am, but I know you aren't. And so I might do an episode where I detail why I don't like the debate of greatest of all time. I prefer greatest of their era, because that's all you have to compare against, right? You don't know how Bill Russell would do in, let's say, the 80s. You don't know how Steph Curry would do back in Bill Russell's days. You don't know. It's impossible to figure it out. You can run the simulations in NBA 2K all you want, but you would never know. And so I prefer greatest of their era. But the closest to greatest of all time that you can come in the NFL is Joe Montana. Joe Montana never lost a Super Bowl, ever. And that's really the only bar that you have with Tom Brady. Tom Brady lost a few, right? He appeared in 10. He won 7. He lost to Eli Manning twice, and he lost to the Philadelphia Eagles backup Nick Foles once. So that's really the only debate where you can say, maybe Tom Brady isn't the greatest of all time. But because he appeared in so many, how can you really say that Joe Montana is better? If Joe Montana appeared in 10 Super Bowls, would he have won every single one? The math would suggest no. But who's to say, right? It's the same argument with the Michael Jordan and LeBron James thing, at least as far as NBA Finals go. Michael Jordan never lost an NBA Finals. LeBron has lost a few. But LeBron has appeared in more. So the math would suggest eventually Michael Jordan would lose an NBA Finals if he appeared in as many as LeBron. Do you see where I'm coming from with this? So I don't really like this greatest of all time talk, but Tom Brady is about as close as you can get to the greatest of all time, because I think he would have survived in any era. He thrived in this era of the running quarterback. He thrived in the era of the pocket passer with Peyton Manning and all of those guys. And he thrived in the early 2000s when it was run the ball 40 times a game to win the game. That's pretty much all the different eras of the NFL you can have. And Tom Brady thrived in each and every one of them. This season was the only season Tom Brady ever finished below 500, and that's only because the NFL went to 18 weeks. So, just because of that, I mean, it's entirely possible he could have finished this year at 8-8 and never have had a losing season. That is how ridiculous the career of Tom Brady is. So, a lot of people hate it. A lot of people hate him. A lot of people don't like him because he's successful. He's good looking. He was married to a supermodel, etc., etc. It's all the tropes, right? But one thing you have to do is respect him. I don't understand if people don't respect Tom Brady, because just those records I read you, that was like 5 minutes worth of records. That's not even all of them that he holds. Like, he's the entire franchise record leader for a quarterback for the New England Patriots, except for maybe rushing yards. And he holds like half the records for Tampa Bay as far as a quarterback is concerned. So, I mean, just respect the player. You don't have to like him. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of Russell Westbrook, but I respect how hard he plays the game. You know, and that's kind of a weak comparison there, Russell Westbrook to Tom Brady, because I was a fan of Michael Jordan. I always rooted for him when I was growing up. And in hockey, I loved Wayne Gretzky. I'm a simple man, you know? In baseball, okay, yes, I hate the Yankees, and I don't really respect them because they just spend more money than anybody else. That's really it, honestly. But for the teams that win the World Series, I respect them because they survived the 162 games, except for the cheater Stros last year. I respect them all. So I respect Tom Brady. Towards the end of his career, I was becoming a fan of his. It never quite got there to where I would root for Tom Brady unless he was playing against like the Cowboys or the Commanders, just teams I can't stand. But all of this to say, all of the past 14 minutes to say, Tom Brady definitely retired as the greatest of his era and possibly the greatest of all time.